last night I had a dream, and I was shown a image of Israel as if from a satellite type view, and in the dream it was depicted. It looked like a cross between a drawing and something out of a computer game. It was kind of a hybrid of the two, but it was kind of cartoonish. The image I was shown Israel as a narrow strip of land with many high-rise buildings. It looked like one big city. This is reflecting the fact that it's quite a densely populated country, but also very small. And I was told and shown in the dream that, yeah, we've got the war raging in the Ukraine, and that soon, that's going to ramp up, and that conflict is going to massively intensify. But in the dream, it felt like that was further off in the future. But yeah, the view was initially focused on Ukraine, then it zipped down to Israel, and then I was shown, this image of that country. But then I was told, but the war is about to really kick off in Israel, and I got the sense it was much closer, like very, very soon. Of course, there is already war in Israel, but the implication seemed to be that there would be fighting on the ground. I wasn't shown that, but like that was the strong feeling and sense, is that there will actually be enemy armies on the ground fighting Israeli ground troops in Israel itself. Yeah, it was just that Israel will be engaged in all-out war, and will be invaded, similar to the way Ukraine has been invaded. And I mean, I wasn't going to post this so fast, but then there was this incident in the last 24 hours. I think it might have been the last 12 hours, where some rockets from, I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't put it being past. Wouldn't put past Israel being a false flag attack after all the war crimes they've done in Gaza. I mean, they've been bombing schools. It's like, oh no, oh no, you've crossed all red lines. You killed 15 Israeli school children. It's like, yeah, you've killed 20,000 or so. There's 40,000 dead civilians in the Gaza Strip. There's 10,000 buried under rubble. You're killing kids every day. They're bombing multiple schools each week and killing dozens of children in the Gaza Strip, and no one seems to care because they're brown, which frustrates me. I've given up though, because the Jews are God's chosen people, and they're above everyone else. And one Jewish life is worth 1,000 lives of anyone else, apparently, according to many Jews and many Israelis. Not all. But there is a big branch of people in Israel who are in a state of mass psychosis and mass psychopathy, just like Nazi Germany. And don't even get me started on Christian Zionists who love Jews more than Jesus, and love Judaism more than Christianity, and they love Israel more than their own country. And that happily, I think that a lot of these people in the US would happily see the US burn and Israel saved. They don't care about their own country. They don't care about the US. They don't care about Christians. All they care about is BS mind control. And it's all mind control to get them to support Israel. I mean, look up the USS Liberty. The Israelis killed more than 40 American servicemen back in the day. Like, they freaking machine gunned the spy ship, which didn't have any, I don't think it even had any guns on it. And they freaking shot them in the lifeboats. Look up the case of Rachel Corrie, American peace activist who got crushed by an Israeli bulldozer. I mean, and I will straight up say here, like, I don't care. Like, this isn't even conspiracy theory. It's freaking common sense. The Israeli security forces and military took 9 hours to respond to the attack on October the 7th. They let it happen. I met a girl here in New Zealand who was in one of the kibbutzes that got attacked. She and her Jewish boyfriend were the only ones who survived. Everyone else died. She said the attacks began at 5:30, 6 a.m. The troops didn't get there until about 4 p.m. And the Israeli military enacted the Hannibal Doctrine, which says that we'd rather kill our own people than let them get taken prisoner. That came out later. So the dozens and dozens of Israelis who died that day were killed by Israeli gunships. Not to mention that there were friendly fire incidents where Israeli tanks killed Israeli civilians. So, I mean, they let it happen. They wanted an excuse for the war. I don't, you've got to be, you've just, I'm sorry, you've just got to be not very smart to see that, or just having a severe lack of common sense. I'm not saying it to be mean, but it's like, it was a false flag. Like, I don't know if it was a false flag attack. They let it happen to have an excuse to go to war. It's a small country. It doesn't take 9 hours to get your troops in there. They could have, there were people, they could have had people there within under half an hour. But they let it go on that long, so they could get everyone all pumped up on anger and fury, which is a classic mind control tactic. It's just like 9/11 in the US. And after 9/11 happened, it was all, just bloodlust, and saying, George W. Bush was saying, yeah, and we're going to make those people, who knocked those buildings down pay. And everyone was, yeah. And you control people with emotions. Emotionally unstable people are easier to control. Psychopaths in positions of power know this. That's why they'll often allow or engineer such instances. I mean, Pearl Harbor was another good example. It came out after the war that the US military intel knew the attack was coming. They let it happen. You can look this up. And, come on, guys. Think about it. They had all these amazing, at that time, state-of-the-art warships, their aircraft carriers, which were the best and most important ships at the time. Coincidentally, oh, come on. Are you stupid? Come on. It's not a coincidence. All their aircraft carriers were out of port. They weren't in Pearl Harbor. They were all out in the Pacific. Do you know what warships were in Pearl Harbor that day? All their oldest, outdated warships. I think it was the USS Arizona. She was laid down in like 1915. So we're talking like, they had all their crappy, like old warships lined up, ready for the Japanese to freaking turn to pancake batter, which they did. Oh, but all their best warships, coincidentally, were out in the, in the Pacific Ocean. But look, the American people didn't support the war before that. After Pearl Harbor, the 4 million American men signed up to fight in World War II. This is covered in I'd like to post this on this channel in the future in a clip called "Don't Mind the Man Behind the Curtain" from a film called Zeitgeist, and it basically talks about how all wars are bankers' wars, which essentially they are if you really look into it. And yeah, like Pearl Harbor, it was allowed to happen. 9/11, like, it was extremely dodgy on many levels, and it was used deliberately to get American support to go into Iraq and Afghanistan. And October the 7th was no different. It's very obvious that it was allowed to happen. It just makes no sense at all. They could have had people there within half an hour. They let it happen. And that was to get the Israeli public really angry, to support them, to get support going for this war. So I don't know what to believe about this attack, where there apparently is something like 15 Israeli kids just got killed. To be clear, I don't support that. I'm not happy about that. I'm definitely finding it hard to find any sympathy or much warmth in my heart towards Israel as a whole because of the genocide they're doing to the Palestinians. But it's just, yeah, I wouldn't rule it out being a false flag on the Israeli side. I'm not quite sure. Maybe Hamas did it. Sorry, Hezbollah did do it. I don't know. But October the 7th, they engineered that. They allowed that to happen. It's a classic playbook. Then you get the whole population pumped up on bloodlust. I mean, the Israeli leaders were actively doing that. They were using language in their speeches, talking about revenge and bloodlust. Smite the children of Amalek, all this crap. And now they're doing genocide. And why am I saying all this? Partly, well, I've been shown in another dream, I didn't mention this before, but I got shown Hezbollah troops coming through northern Israel, and they were genociding the Israelis. They were killing everyone. Men, women, children, babies. And yeah, it's not monolithic. Like, not all Israelis support it. But basically, you're dealing with a country in a state of mass psychosis and mass psychopathy, just like Nazi Germany, except I would argue Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think it might be worse. The It could be worse. It's definitely just as bad as Nazi Germany in terms of the hate and the viciousness and the savagery and the way they dehumanize their enemies. Studies have been done and they've found that, most Israelis support legislation that says, oh yeah, if any Palestinian walks within, 50 meters of a military IDF fence, you can shoot them. And like doesn't matter who they are. And I've got that short in my shorts clip on my YouTube channel of Israelis, shooting a Palestinian kid in the head, an innocent civilian who was just protesting, who came near a fence, and they're laughing about it and how his body flipped in the air. And they're saying, what a video, what a video. And these people are sick. The ones who did that, not all Israelis, not all soldiers in the IDF, but yes, an awful lot of them. This is a country that's in a state of genocidal, like bloodlust, homicidal maniac sickness collectively. It really is. We'll sow the wind, reap the whirlwind. What's the other one? There will be no mercy for those who have shown no mercy to others. Those are two quotes from the Bible. Well, Israel's about to experience this. And it's not monolithic, to be clear. Not all Israelis support this stuff, but yeah, most do. Most, like that, Abby Martin talked about that legislation. Like most, it's this idea, oh, it's just a lunatic fringe of extremists. No, most Israelis support this stuff. So this is a nation that's gone insane and has become like a mad rabid dog that's attacking everyone around it. It's going to get put down. I'm not happy about it, and I'm not going to say they deserve it. I'm not going to say they got what they deserved. It's going to be horrific. Just as horrific what happens to the Israeli civilians is what they've been doing to the Palestinian civilians. It's war, it's a tragedy all around, but I will say, what do you expect? It's like, dude, don't start genociding people around you and then cry when they genocide you back. It's like, what do you freaking expect? If you punch someone in the face, it's quite normal to have them punch you back. So yeah, to clarify, to finish off, yeah, just to sum up, I've shown, yeah, war's massively going to intensify. We're going to see an actual invasion of Israel quite soon. It wasn't my first stream about this. But then, yeah, I'm throwing in there this other piece of information I had some weeks ago. I was shown genocide in Israel, and the Hezbollah soldiers, they were killing everyone. But I will add, just like the Israelis are doing in the Gaza Strip now. Guys, they've destroyed every single hospital in the Gaza Strip. They're bombing schools basically every week now. They deliberately target journalists. They've killed Christians. They've sniped Christians in Gaza. In the Christian churches in the Gaza Strip, they've sniped civilians in them. They've been torturing people to death in detention centers. You can't act like this and not expect consequences, okay? Israel's not God's chosen people, and you're about to see that. If they were God's chosen people, they would be protected. But they're acting like Satan's chosen people. And a lot of Christians have been fooled by it's propaganda from Zionists to get them support Christians, and the US in particular, supporting Israel. And they don't care about the US. Look up the USS Liberty incident. Look up what happened to Rachel Corrie. I'll put links to those two things in the description box below. Educate yourself a bit. There is no God's chosen people. God loves everyone equally. That's an inherently racist idea. And this idea that we're God's chosen people so that we're above everyone else gives many Israelis the idea that one Israeli life is worth 10,000 lives of anyone else, which is partly why a lot of them behave like this. So, in summary, you're dealing with a nation in mass psychosis that's doing a lot of dark and Iran's not the main generator of terrorism in the Middle East. It's Israel. Israel created ISIS. You can look into this. Why do you think ISIS never attacked any? Do you think it's odd that ISIS never attacked any Jewish country or group? And they only attacked enemies of Israel. Don't you think they'd be targeting Israel the hardest? So, yeah, in summary, it's a country that's gone completely insane with mass psychosis. It's in a state of mass psychopathy. Uh, Many of these people literally think they're God's chosen people and that they are superior to everyone else, that they're the quote chosen race. That sounds familiar, just like Nazi Germany, right? Well, they're acting like Nazi Germany in the Gaza Strip. They're doing war crimes, they're doing genocide. As you sow, so shall you reap. There will be no mercy to those who have not shown mercy to others. Sow the wind, reap the whirlwind. They're just going to get back and experience what they put out, but times like 3 to 8. So don't expect Israel to survive this. And I'm not happy about it, but what do you freaking expect? Don't start genociding people and then complain when you get genocided back. I mean, it's a human tragedy on all sides, but yeah, and even if like there's an argument to be made that yeah, you could say that, Hamas and Palestine have been doing terrible things to Israel for many years, which is true. It's war. It's true. But the prerogative is on the stronger side with the greater wealth and the much more advanced weaponry to, step up and lead efforts to secure peace. And that side is Israel. They're the much, wealthier side of the much more advanced levels of technology. And they've been doing the opposite. They've been pushing harder and harder for war. They've been acting like the Aztecs, doing human sacrifices. This won't end well. That's what I was showing last night.